Hey there, writer friends. It's Wednesday. Let's do a quick Write On Wednesday session. As ever, I am just fresh out of a session with the Sovereign Writers Circle. We meet together every Wednesday, and I provide 2 prompts, and you never know where the journey's going to take us. So I want to start today with the importance of covering the thing that you already thought has been said. And this is something that's important for us to think about as writers, as marketers, as parents. I think so many of us are afraid of repeating ourselves, right? Because you've been with the person who constantly reiterates what they've said before, and it does not make them a stunning conversationalist. You kind of want to say like, yeah, you told me that story. I got it. I remember. That's important to remember those moments because we don't want to become that person. And yet, out of fear of that, we can sometimes forget that not everybody's clued into all the different pieces of the story. And so I specifically am thinking about this as a public writer, as an entrepreneur, creative entrepreneur, transformation professional. The people who most need my insight and my ideas have varying levels of information about where I come from, what I stand for, what my kind of big ideas really are. And so one of those ideas is there is so much power in writing together. I've been running the Sovereign Writers Circle, this online community for healers who write and writers who heal for 2.5 years. It seems to me that everybody who's spent any time with me at all or been on my newsletter list or followed me on social media or seen my blog knows, oh yeah, Maurice is one of those people who believes in writing groups because, well, she has one and she's always inviting people to join it, right? But then I stopped and realized, how long has it been since I really stopped and paused and thought about saying, writing together is important, and this is why we really need to do it. Because, of course, right now, for so many months, very few of us have been able to gather together in the groups that we're accustomed to. My particular group has always been online, so there was really no big shift for us except for the fact that some of us were now trying to write with more people at home. And some of us were realizing, wow, this is just one of many, many Zoom calls I'm doing in any given week. Because for a while, this would have been the only Zoom call people had. That lunchtime slot for the East Coasters was when we'd sit down together to write. And so throughout all this, I have always known that important power of when we write together, we create a container that is stronger than what any one of us would likely be able to create on our own. Now, not to say, of course, that we, as writers, we are in many ways solitary beings. It is about sitting butt in chair and getting out pen or sitting at keyboard and putting those words on the page. No one else participates in that very intimate moment of mind, words, page. But what keeps us from being distracted, from straying, from coming back to Facebook in the middle of the time when I should be writing? Oftentimes, it's that container created by a group. Our members are in Alaska and California and Georgia and Maryland and all across the country. It's like that sense of creating all of these different points of power that gather together and hold us all and hold our attention. For 45 minutes of writing, that probably we wouldn't be able to make time for without it. So there's that sense of when we write together, we focus more effectively. And the other piece of what we do in the writers group is to talk at the end. Once upon a time, we talked for 10 minutes. Now it's a lot more like 25 minutes. In some ways, that's because a lot of us have a little more time in our schedules than we might have before COVID and all the disruption. But a lot of it is the members now set aside an hour and a half for writing and conversation because it's that sense of coming together at the end of a session to be heard, to be able to speak aloud, either via just your impressions of what the process was like. I always ask the question, hey, so what came through for you? And sometimes people read directly from the page this particular passage they felt was really important and vibrant and necessary. And today, it was a remarkable thing to watch all the different members really spark off of one another. I think just about everybody said, oh my goodness, thanks to what you said, I'm going to go and keep writing about that because it hadn't even occurred to me before. That sense of cross-pollination and cross-fertilization is so rich and powerful, and it deepens that experience so much. This is why we need community. This is why we human storytellers have always used story to strengthen our communities, right? So I just wanted to give you a quick insight into what we did write about today in the Sovereign Writers Circle, the things that all this cross-pollination happened around. My first prompt was around this idea of we often look back as if there were better days. Sometimes it's that personal sense of, oh, in the good old days, or back when I was innocent. And sometimes it's like that hearkening back to the Garden of Eden, or the matriarchy, or that Hebrew word, or phrase rather, tikkun olam, that sense of we are here to do the work of world repairing. Because once upon a time, this place was inherently good, and it became broken, and we're here to fix it. So I asked everybody in the group to write into that idea of, do you believe that we are in a time of returning back to a period, an older time when things were better, more whole, perhaps more pure? Does that feel true to you? And everybody wrote into that question. And the second question that I posed today was art that changed you. What song, what book, what piece of masterpiece on the wall left its imprint on you, and what part of life? Because it's so important for us as creatives, as those who write and tell stories, to also be really aware of what inspires us and what has helped shape who we are as creatives. So perhaps you'll hear something in this today that will inspire you to write. I invite you, as ever, if you're curious about the Sovereign Writers Circle, to come. I'll put the link at the bottom of this video to tell me if you perhaps would like to join us. We write on Wednesdays, and we get together on 2 Mondays a month for a writing, coaching, and story healing call, and then for a public work share, so people can really, more formally share the work that they've been working on. And let me know if these prompts caught your eye. What piece of this has you thinking about writing? How has community helped to hold you and shape you despite and because of the great separation we've all been going through over these last few months? As ever, write on, write on. I am so grateful that I have a circle like the Sovereign Writers Circle, and like all of you who are interested in the power of writing, of words, of expression, both for ourselves and all that we have to discover and uncover and want to articulate, and for those who need to hear your voice and your stories that only you can tell, that can help transform and renew this world of ours. Blessings. See you next Wednesday.